there's nothing else, we'll move on to new business B. Going to have a discussion and a vote on sanitation fees. Mr. Peck.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Peck, Public Works. So there was a letter in your packet dated October 11th. I've amended that letter. It was emailed to the board today. Is everybody in receipt of that? Really, the change is I changed my recommendation to kind of minimize the effects of what we're trying to do here. So just reading through the memo that I sent to the town manager, on October 31st, we were notified by the interim town accountant that the sanitation budget has a shortfall and we cannot fund the FY23 budget as appropriated. The result is that without a sanitation rate increase, we will need to utilize approximately $400,000 in retained earnings to make up the difference, leaving approximately a balance of $125,000 in retained earnings. So DOR is requiring us to raise the rate for the FY24 budget season. And I ran through some different scenarios, and my recommendation at this point is to raise the trash service fee $3 a week, which equals $153 a year. That same percentage or amount would be put across the cost of the town trash bag fees, as well as the cost of extra trash service. I'd like to amend my letter again just to say to remove the cost of their extra recycling cart. I think we should keep that at the $50 fee so that we can get more people to recycle and less people throwing away some the trash. Just as a comparison, other towns that are paying right now, Wareham's paying $365 a year, East Bridgewater's $400 a year, and Pembroke's $350 a year. So this brings us up into that range, not quite to the high side of that range, but in the middle of that range. I have a ton of numbers here. If you guys have any questions, I can answer as many as I can. Whatever you guys would like to know, I'll do my best.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair. Go ahead, Nate.
Yes. I do have a question regarding the people who do a pay-as-you-throw, who buy the bag individually.
Yep.
I noticed that you have, a recommended increase of $3 a week for people who I'm assuming that are billed quarterly, that gets put on their water bill. Is there going to be a change in the fee for people who go with the pay-as-you-throw option as well?
Yes, we would have to apply that same amount to the two different bag fees. So the small bags would go to $2.60, and from $1.50, and the large would go from $3 to $5.25. That's applying the same percentage across the board. And I think what would happen is if we didn't do that, a lot of people would jump to the bag system and then they'd bankrupt.
Oh, that's my department. That's what I'm asking. Yep.
All right.
That's it.
Hey, Chris, for the people at home, can you just break down what the fees are now and what the fees are going to be? I know they're $51 a quarter, but can you just go over them?
Yep. So right now, the base fee per year is $204. $204 is going to go to $357. The extra barrel fee right now is $100 for the year. That's going to go to $175. That breaks down to a cost for the quarter for the base fee of instead of being $51, it's going to go to $89.25.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
So essentially, the residents of Middleborough have enjoyed a much lower rate than surrounding towns for a number of years, and at this point, we just can't sustain that.
Yeah, we're operating on an income of the 2005 income. That's what we've been doing. Considering in 2014 and 15, we switched over from essentially a packer program over to automated. We bought all new trucks, put all new barrels out to all the residents, and we did that under the current fee structure. Combination of things have led to this. We've had to grow the department. We've added a few more employees. We've had to buy some extra trucks, and then the cost of diesels. We're already halfway through our diesel budget, and it's November. So we're seeing the same increases on materials as everybody else is. So it all just kind of hit at the same time. Our debt payments are hitting at the same time for everything that we've purchased over the last few years as well. So what this will allow us to do, raising the fees to this amount will allow us to build back it'll cover the cost of FY '24, but it's also going to allow us to build up our retained earnings to where they need to be. We are under contract right now with Waste Management till 2031. Right now, the contract is the first 6,000 ton is free disposal. Anything above that, or anything from 6,000 to 10,000 is $25 a ton. Anything above 10,000 is $40 a ton. We are right on the cusp of 10,000. We are right there. We are, I'm estimating 9,800 ton. So if we can reduce trash and increase recycling, it's going to help our costs, because right now, the way the contract is written, our recycling, single stream recycling is disposed of at no cost.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, Nate.
Is there any fee for an extra recycling bin?
It's $50. And I'm recommending that we keep that the same.
Okay. That was the point I was going to make. Should probably still try to encourage people to recycle more,
Absolutely, absolutely.
not necessarily raise those
Yep,
fees.
as long as they follow the single stream rules that are on the top of the bins and are on our website, you know, that's the best way to go. The more you can recycling, it helps everybody in town. If you know, if everybody follows the rules, it's the best thing going. It's the easiest way to get rid of stuff.
Okay, Arthur?
I know there are some towns that collect food waste separately, and I know we're not in a place to currently do that, but are there any third parties that might be able to work with the town in order to have that taken out of the trash?
I can look
Reduce our
into it,
weight.
but you know, it's not something that we really entertain just because we don't have the vehicles or the carts to be able to do it. So,
Yeah.
but I'll take a look, see if there's a third party out there to do that.
Because that'll help reduce the amount of stuff we're throwing away.
Absolutely.
Good, Brian.
What I wanted to start with is the history of this program. So in 2005, up to 2005, it was originally, trash collection was in the tax base of the town. So in 2005, when it was originally put through, it was put through, I believe, at a $52 per quarter piece. And then it was, a few years later, it was reduced to $51. Then, at the time when Charlie Cristello was our town manager, there was a lot of pushback from one really irate citizen that used to sit in the corner over there. I think it was me. And maybe that and a couple other things and some discussion with you, it was determined to make this an enterprise system. So that way there was accountability for that, because I used to say, if we're paying $52 in the same year, where'd the rest of the money go back before? So it was good because we were getting a full accounting. We're looking at it. The problem being is that we've had a sweetheart of a deal. We went from CMAS, I think Mr. Rosenthal, Mr. Rulo, one of the former selectmen in this town, really worked hard to come up with this plan to get us 6,000 ton tipped free at our own landfill, or through Waste Management, and then the additional fee at 25. The problem that we foresee is in 2031, we've got nothing in current rates. We could be looking at $125 a ton in current day dollars to tip at that, which would add $1 million to this budget. Conceivably, I'm somewhere there.
Yep.
I'm not trying to scare people, but I'm thinking about this as to why we might have maybe we should have been increasing it in small increments as we went along, but at this point we haven't had an increase since 2005, and now we have to make the catch up because we've got infrastructure costs of machinery. We've reduced some staffing because we went automated, but those costs of machines still go up. We've added more houses, we've added more collection, I think. So I see why we're doing this and why you're recommending this. As much as I hate to do it, I think we have to. I don't think we have a choice. I would look at myself personally that I would like to see that all bins, for every bin that we flip, we should be paid the same amount. I don't think we should have a reduced amount for second and third. In the water department, we have what's called an increasing block rate. What it does is it encourages people to use less water. Giving people a discount to throw away more is exactly what DEP doesn't want us to do, nor do we, because we don't want to encourage people to throw away more. We would probably want to encourage them to throw away less and recycle more. So I myself would like to see us bring even the fee for second and third bins at people's homes to that same per bin fee and just leave it at that, because we have to dispose of it. The cost of disposal is getting more and more expensive. And I have a feeling that once we hit that 10,000 rate, it's going to get very expensive for each additional bin. So that's something we really should consider, is making that bin a per bin price of the same as the first bin plus that 75% increase that's being recommended tonight. That's just something we should think about. before we make a change.
Just some numbers for you. In calendar year 18, our tonnage was 8,200. That includes the free 6,000. That's just what we're disposing. This year, I'm projecting 9,800. So like I said, we're right there from going over the 10,000. And it's just a result of the town growing is really what it is. And people are busy, and they just come and they grab another trash barrel versus another recycle barrel, because it's just an easier thing to do. So like you said, if we can tier the program and make it harder to get, that would definitely curb that. You might actually see people that have second and third barrels now come back in and change over to recycle bin.
I myself think that that's the way I would want to see the town move, to encourage more recycle, less throwaway. In fact, I'd encourage people, don't consume. Try to reduce your consumption, reuse things if you can. Reusable bottles. I mean, I hate to say it, we have a lot of these, and I mean, I'm not pointing you out, I do it too for work, but we have those reusable bottles. We should be using that more and more, because that really is becoming an expense, these bottles, these little bottles.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
And when we were going to CMAS, we couldn't go over 10% of plastic in our trash. We don't have that at the landfill, but, and we weren't single stream at that point either, but,
Right.
you know, single stream just kind of threw everything off. You know,
Wow.
it just changed the program so much, not only in town, but just worldwide, as everybody's probably read in the media. It's just, it's a hard material to deal with because of what's in there.
Any
Mr.
other-
Chair?
Go ahead.
Maybe if we can't even find a third party for food waste, we could look into local farms that would want to take neighbors' food waste in. I know when I had the bakery, I had a local farmer that would come pick up all the food waste, and they would even take the eggshells and coffee grounds for their garden too.
Absolutely, sure. Yep. DEP just put in a couple of waistbands, they initiated the waistbands November 1st. That's on mattresses and textiles. We do have plans or programs in place to handle that. The textiles can be dropped at the schools. They can also be brought to the transfer station. And the mattresses, you can pay for a mattress at DPW and bring it to the transfer station, where we will send it off to be recycled. Right now, that fee for $15 is $15 for the mattress. My recommendation is that it goes to $40. We've been paying for this out of DEP grants. We get, close to $25,000 a year in DEP grants, but that's really going to eat into that if we have to pay. A lot of stuff comes out of those grants. All the recycle bin costs, our household hazardous waste costs, our fee to be part of the South Shore Recycling Co-op comes out of there as well. So it eats away pretty quick. So I think we're going to have to raise that fee on the mattresses as well.
All right. Any other comments or questions from the board? Mr. Rosenthal?
By increasing it, since we're not increasing it to the first of the year, we're still going to run a deficit for FY '23 that's going to have to come out of retained earnings, right?
Yeah.
But it'll be about maybe a couple 100,000, not 400,000.
Mr. Nunes?
Fiscal year '23 has already been satisfied.
Oh, you've already taken care of
So,
that.
yes, that's already been taken care of, yes.
Is that what left us with a balance in retained earnings of only 125,000?
That is correct.
Okay, so this will build that back
Correct.
up for the rest of the fiscal year, and then fiscal '24 will be whole or a little bit better than that.
I would say FY '25 would be back to where we were.
Yeah.
And then, again, we need to plan for the future because we don't know where we're going to be in 2031.
Yeah.
If we cannot negotiate with Waste Management past 2031, and we end up back at CMAS paying whatever it is, 9 years from now, you're looking at,
Well-
$1.5 million to get rid of whatever
Yeah.
added tonnage.
Retained earnings are a
It's a huge
great
number.
thing, but you sort of have to justify them, and there's always a balance between present users paying for future users. So we have a great deal, and we're going to have it for a few more years. We better celebrate it, because at some point, people are going to pay a lot more for trash collection. There's just no two ways around it. Even if we do renegotiate some kind of other deal, it's going to cost more than what we have currently.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
We're-
and the other thing is that up till now, actually, Waste Management has been paying us for our unused yards at the trash, at the trash dump, right?
Well, we're using everything that,
But at one time, we
yes,
had
years
unused.
ago, yes, absolutely.
So we've eaten that up, and so we've lost revenue that way as well.
Correct.
But it's gone to the general fund, that revenue, but still, it's money lost to the town. So just want to point out that growth costs money in a lot of different ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, the other thing we're going to be doing is, we're trying not to change any routes in town. Everybody's pretty set on what day they have. We have 20 routes, I think, in town. We have, 10 recycling, 10 trash routes, and we're trying not to change those. So what we're gonna be doing, instead of moving routes, is just putting out additional trucks and taking the load off that so that we can get done in a day. Right now, Monday and Tuesday, we get down early, and those are the days that the trucks are maintained. We, do the grease, they get washed, and any tires need to be changed. That's when that stuff gets done. Then the other 3 days, they're barely making the landfill. So what we're gonna do is put a truck out there's 2 trash routes going each day. We'll put a truck out to help out with those 2 trash trucks, and then we'll put another truck out to take the burden off that recycle truck. So we're just trying to minimize the impact to the resident. Obviously, the cost is one thing, but, anytime we change someone's schedule, it really becomes a pain.
All right, any other comments, questions from the board? From the public? Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Brian.
I would move that we increase the fee for the first bin and the bags by 75% as presented this evening, and further increase the mattress fee to $40 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second for discussion.
Second for discussion. Mr. Rosenthal.
I thought that as far as the fees that were going to be charged for the things that go to the dump, including mattresses, we were going to take that up as a whole list and deal with the whole list around, or are we just going to deal with the mattresses?
So the mattresses that DPW is handling now, we took that out of Waste Management's hands.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it costs, if someone was to take a mattress and try to go through Waste Management, it's gonna cost them $75. I'm trying to cap that at 40 by us recycling it. It's just the contract we're in, it's a little bit cheaper than what Waste Management was trying to charge. So we took over that program last year because we had a grant from DEP, and everything, we were charging residents $15, but this DEP was paying to recycle almost all those mattresses, except for the ones that were rejected by the company, shall we say. So we've contracted with another company that takes all the mattresses, and then they'll just charge us for the ones. They have a better rate of acceptance versus the company we were using. DEP forced us into using that company. We didn't really have a choice. So anyways, as far as the other costs that Waste Management charge residents, I would like to have a workshop with a group, whether we reform the landfill committee, whatever it might be, because we really need to look at those. But again, all those funds go directly to Waste Management. Right now, I'm just trying to take care of what affects the town department. But we definitely got to get back together and figure out what we're going to do with all the fees that they have through Waste Management.
Chris, do we charge the same amount for all mattresses, meaning box springs, foam mattresses, everything's the same?
It's right, same across the board. Yep. And that's what the company charges. It's the same across the board.
And we're just trying to recoup the cost of what it is, because at $75, you don't want to be picking up on Marion Road mattresses, because you'd end up doing that. And that's what we've always said. We're not trying to make money off this stuff. We're just trying to cover the cost and be fair to the townspeople, which is what you're trying to do. And I'm not saying Waste Management isn't. I'm just saying we're just trying to, we haven't know what the number is, so we're just trying to cover that cost to do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to be the cheaper option so it doesn't end up on Marion Road.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, as I said, as presented, that would be for a January 1st, 2023 start date on those fees.
Okay,
The only question I have is, how would you like to handle the second and third barrels?
I'm going to take care of that separately for a different discussion.
All right, okay, sorry.
all right, on the original motion, any further discussion on the board? From the public? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Brian.
I would move that we set the fee for additional bins beyond the first, the same price fee per quarter as the first.
Okay, we
So
have,
in other words, the fee for the first, second, or third would all be the same fee.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second for discussion.
Second for discussion. Arthur?
So if someone had 2 regular trash barrels, that would be $700
That is correct.
a year?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Nate.
what would happen in a situation that someone owns a multifamily and they have a 3-family with 3 bins?
They would no longer get a discount for having multiple families use one account. They would have to pay the same amount as any other single-family home for each family living there. Would that be about right?
That's correct.
And how is it done currently?
Currently, they get a discount.
Yeah, right now, so if it's a 3-family, they pay for 1 204, and then 2, or in this case, three, extra $100 for each of the 3 other barrels.
But they're all using the same amount of trash.
But they're all, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Neil.
the problem I have with it is that it seems to me we're penalizing larger families. And I just think that if you have 5 children and 4 children in a family and you need more than one thing to handle your trash, that maybe these are the folks who can least afford to pay this additional money. It does get pretty pricey.
Well, then, Mr. Chair, then we could also give people a discount if they're not using bins. We should not, just like with water, if we do the same thing with water, should we give a discount on water? Because right now, we charge more. If you have 5, 6 people, children, which is 7 people living in a house, you're probably verging on the tier 3 on a quarterly usage for your water if you're using it that much. So you're paying a lot more, almost 4 times the cost of a single person living in a house. Should we give a discount on our water rates? In fact, DEP would say, no, you can't. They'd pull our WMA permit. If they wouldn't allow it, they wouldn't renew it. We actually can't do a decreasing block fee structure in water or sewer. It's forbidden. But we're doing that with trash. So we're giving people a discount on trash for the purposes of giving us more per household, which is then going to cost us more at the landfill for tipping. Because we're tipping at 25 a ton, soon to be potentially even more if we go over the 10,000 mark for a single home.
Mr. Chairman, if I might debate that a little bit. The state has come up with a notion of how much water we should be using per person per home, and they set that as a standard. I'm not sure what it is, but it's either in the 60s or high 50s at this point per person. But there is no such measurement that I'm aware of for trash. So I don't feel comfortable figuring out how much trash a family of 5 or 6 should be using. And I just don't think that it makes a lot of sense at this point to penalize these folks to that degree. We're already raising the price pretty dramatically. I just think that,
Mr. Chair?
what are we going to charge for the second bin? Half the cost of the first bin? Is that what it is? Or
Oh, well, it was 175.
175? Yeah,
If-
well,
if-
I would be comfortable if we went to the 204 on the second bid, but I'm not comfortable going all the way to the 353 on the second bid.
Some information I looked up online, the average family of 5 over a year uses about 5 ton of trash. So,
And
that's just,
Mr. Chair?
that doesn't include that.
I would be more in favor of decreasing the fee for the second recycling bin from $50 to $0, to really incentivize people to recycle as opposed to increasing their rate on a second barrel for, as Selectman Rosenthal said, if you have a family of 5, now you're, basically charging them the same amount. You're charging them the equivalent of someone who lives across the street that has 1 barrel. So you're basically charging 1 resident for 2 residents worth of trash. You know what I'm saying? 2 barrels.
Right.
So I would be more in favor of decreasing the recycling bin rate for the second rate to really incentivize people to recycle as opposed to charging people more.
Mr. Chair?
Hold on 1 second. The only argument to that, Nate, would be that they're physically producing more trash. So we're paying to remove the trash no matter what, or how it got there. So we're not charging them for trash they don't use.
Yep.
Regardless. Go ahead, Brian.
My comment in response to Mr. Rosenthal's comment is, I feel as though I'm being penalized because I'm paying more than my fair share than the family of 5. If I'm paying more than everyone else, that isn't fair. And that's exactly what the fee structure is right now. If you're saying that a family of 5 needs 2 bins, and I'm now paying their fee, I'm paying for their tippage because they're getting charged less than I'm getting charged for the same amount of tippage per household. So I think it's very unfair that would penalize all these houses out here that don't have more than 1 bin, because people want more than 1 bin.
Well, Mr. Chairman, once again, if I might debate this point, a lot of people don't fill the first bin who nonetheless pay quarterly. So those people, I suppose, by the same standard you're using, would be overpaying for their actual usage. And
Which
the
is
only
me.
fair way would be for them to go buy the bag. But I do think that we can put a little bit of compassion in this as well as just being hard about this type of thing. And this is a dramatic increase. We're almost doubling it actually. And I just don't think to double it again on the folks who, you know, happen to use a lot of, have a lot of trash is necessarily the way to go. I would be willing to go to the 204 on the second, what we're currently charging on the second one, but I'm certainly not willing personally to go to 353.
Mr. Chair, like he just said, we shouldn't be penalizing people who are using more than their fair share. You're absolutely right. And people who are using less, like me, I don't usually fill my bin weekly. I think the break-even point is 2 bags a week. 2 big bags a week is break-even typically, last time I did the calculation. So if you use 2 bags a week, you're break-even. If not, if you're using less than 2 bags, go buy the bags, get a small container, they'll be glad to pick up the 2 bags, which is the way to go if that's the case. But to turn around and say that we're going to allow somebody to have 3 bins at their house because they choose to, and charge them the same for 3 bins as 2 other homes down the street is just completely unfair to the 2 homes that pay the full rate. If so, I'll stop recycling, I'll get 6 bins, and I'll start trashing and fill the trash right up, because that's what happens. It's what ends up happening when people take advantage of a situation. And by the way, that's what we're doing. We're taking advantage of the tipping situation. But I just made the motion, and no one has to vote for it. And to me, I just think it's quite unfair to the ratepayers of this community, because there's probably 4,000, 5,000 single-family homes with 1 bin that are paying more because other people are getting a free ride or a half ride on their second bins, and I don't think that's quite fair at all. But that's just me. I think that everything should be fair. People should pay for what they use, not get a discount if they overuse
Mr.
or
Chair?
abuse.
Go ahead, Nate.
Well, I would counter with, do you think it's fair, well, the point, I'll direct this to Selectman Giovanoni. Do you think that it's fair that the people who want to recycle more are being penalized to recycle by paying the $50 for an extra barrel?
It's a one-time purchase, if I'm not mistaken, 50, or do they pay $50 a year?
One time.
So it's a one-time purchase for a
Okay,
bin
that's
that, a 95-gallon bin is about $130 at Home Depot if you bought one. So we're getting a real good discount on those for $50.
Yes. Yeah, we pay about 56, but, you know, DEP grant kind of.
Right. So I think it's phenomenal. And I mean, my neighbor across the street has 2 bins of recycle, and I think it's great. I don't even fill usually a recycle bin. It gets close sometimes, but usually at Christmas time it usually does. But other than that, I try not to use. If you can try not to use it, you don't even have to worry about recycle or trash. But there are homes that, I mean, I would like to maybe look at, if we don't want to do this, what I'm saying about one single fee, any multifamily home then you shouldn't get a discount on a fee. So if there are 3 apartments, you shouldn't pay full price for one and then partial for the others. Does that happen in any place?
Not typically, no.
No? Okay, I didn't know. I just think that how many double or more bins do we have in the town?
So, single family, just 1 bin, 1 set, shall we say,
Yeah.
because they get a 64 and a 96 recycling, that's 4,800. 1 family plus an extra barrel, so that's 2 64s and a 96, there's 428 of those. 1 family, so that's the 204, plus 2 extra barrels is 11 of those. 2 family plus an extra barrel, so that's 408 plus another 200. There's 17 of those. And then the 3 and 3 there's only 1 of those in town right now.
3 and 3.
I believe, according to our billing. Yep.
Okay.
Well, then, I would withdraw
Well,
my
it's
motion
actually
then.
6. It's actually 6.
I would withdraw my motion, if you'd withdraw your second.
Yep.
I would make the new motion that additional bins beyond the first would be $204 per year.
Mr. Chairman,
We have a second.
I'll second that. I would also like to say that while the enterprise fund works well, that what government is supposed to do is spread the pain amongst the whole community, or spread the pleasure or the joy between the whole community. So when we charge taxes on homes, we don't discriminate on people who have 3 children in the school system, because ultimately it all levels out. And so by spreading, if you will, the costs around, it actually costs everyone less. The enterprise system only nails the users, but it can get out of control at times, and in some cases it does. So I do think we have to look at mitigating that in some way. I think Brian's second motion is fair, if we're going to charge $353 for the first, to go to $204 for the second, so I would support that.
Okay, any further discussion on that? 353 for the first, 204 for the second, in additional barrels, is that what it was?
For any additional.
Any
beyond the
additional
first.
barrel?
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion on the board? From the public? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay?
We have one nay, motion passes.